I've helped hundreds of parents on their homeschooling journey, and the number one question that I get, or that I see if I don't get it, is what is the best homeschool curriculum? They want recommendations, they either want the most popular curriculum, or they're trying to navigate between two of the most common or popular curriculums that they see online. However, that is not the way to go about it, and if you're doing that, you're doing it all the way wrong. Because of this, parents spend thousands of dollars on the wrong curriculum. Now you're getting stressed out, you're frustrated, you think the curriculum doesn't work, your child doesn't want to learn, and now you're questioning your whole homeschool journey. And the issue is you never took a step back before you even went to buy a curriculum to actually assess these things. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you my process to help you find the best homeschool curriculum, because I truly believe there is no one best homeschool curriculum. The best homeschool curriculum is one that actually aligns with your family, your child, and your needs. I am going to break it down for you to help you with your curriculum journey. And if you stay till the end, I got something for you. The first thing, number one, is to really understand where your child is academically. Not just grade level, that is a great starting period, but when I say where are they academically, are they in the fifth grade but they're struggling with reading? They're struggling with reading comprehension. Or do you have a child, maybe a toddler, that is actually learning and grasping concepts? Maybe they're learning how to read, or they can read complete sentences. This is the difference between how to homeschool a 5-year-old that is just now started kindergarten versus homeschooling a 5-year-old that already knows how to read and understand basic math, maybe on a first or second grade level. So again, starting off, you really want to see where your child is academically. Honestly, as a parent, you should know. If you do not know, this is the time for you to really sit down and see where your child is, not just where their grades are, okay? Understanding where your child is academically is not based on their grades, if they got A's and B's and C's or all that. It is really based on their level of understanding. And one of the most common ways that a lot of parents figure this out is through assessments. Most homeschool curriculums will have an assessment where they test where your child is academically. Sometimes you can go through third parties that will provide assessments. You can hire a tutor to provide some type of assessment or whatever the case may be. And when your child take those assessments, you see where they are scoring on certain subjects and topics so that you can understand, okay, this is their strength and this is their weakness. For an example, I'll use my children as an example. I have a 6-year-old who is moving to the third grade. However, I've been homeschooling her since she was 1 year old. So because I have been teaching her and training her so young, both of my kids I've been homeschooling since 1 year old. So I have been taking the time to educate, train them, and nurture them so young so they're able to advance a lot faster than maybe your typical 6 or 7 years old. Now, if we're talking about homeschooling someone around her same age range, but maybe they are starting first grade, that is totally different. It's totally different when it comes to what curriculum you're going to get for them or how to nurture them on their academic journey. So again, I'm sharing this just as an example of when it comes to understanding where your child is academically, not just their grades, but their understanding and what grade level their understanding falls under. Number two, you need to understand how your child learns best. Now, this is universal, no matter what age range your child is in, no matter if they have learning specialties, it doesn't matter their grade levels or anything like that. You really have to understand how their mind receives information and how they digest this information and how they're able to actually relay it, if that makes sense. Making sure that they're fully understanding and comprehending the information that they're receiving. This is extremely important when it comes to finding a homeschool curriculum. Now, people will say learning styles are a myth. It doesn't matter that it is. I really don't care. For me, my experience, what I have noticed is that when you utilize a homeschool curriculum that is geared towards maybe their main learning style, because there is not one curriculum just based on one specific learning style, if that makes sense. However, if you have a homeschool curriculum that is geared towards their prominent learning style, for example, if you have a child that is very visual and so they need to see videos to fully understand a concept or a lesson, then you want a homeschool curriculum that is very video forward. Versus if you have a child that learns better by hands-on, then you want a curriculum that really caters to them actually doing things, right? Maybe using manipulatives on certain subjects. Again, it's not going to be for every single subject, but you want a curriculum that is mainly geared towards that. And the reason why this is so important, and I feel that it's so underrated when it comes to learning, is because you want your child to feel supported with homeschooling them. And the thing is, To really support them, you have to listen to them and understand how they think. So if they are thinking and they receive and gather information a certain way, you want to make sure that the information, the way that they're receiving it, is easy for you and for the child. One example I like to give is when it comes to history, okay? I was like this as a child. There are a lot of children like this. When it comes to history, some children, reading it is boring. It's super duper boring. They are like out of it. They are just over it. It doesn't connect. Versus maybe watching a documentary on it, or maybe going to a museum and you're actually taking a day at the museum and you're discussing a historic fact or something of that nature while you're doing that museum trip. The difference is, if you're watching a video, you're catering to their visual learning style. Or if you're going to a museum and you're making it interactive, now you're catering to maybe their hands-on style type thing, or that could be visual as well. It really truly just depends on the situation. But this also broadens how they learn in general. So in school, or what we're usually taught, is that learning happens in books or is limited to a curriculum. However, learning is immersive in so many ways. And when children are able to, but learning is an experience in all different ways. And when children, or even people in general, are able to immerse themselves in something that they're learning, they receive it more, they're excited more, they actually want to do more. And so that helps you as a parent when it comes to educating your child. You don't have to worry about your child being resistant, don't want to learn. You don't have to stress about, am I doing this right? Because you are broadening your options when it comes to teaching your child. And again, this also goes back into the curriculum, or into curriculum options, making sure they feel support so that they're excited when it comes to learning. That's what you want. You don't want your child to be bored and like, oh, whatever. It does happen, but you can limit that when you're catering to their prominent learning style and really digging into that. Another example I can give you, I had a mom who was frustrated. She had a young son who was very advanced, but she was saying that it was hard to get him to want to learn. All he wanted to do is play with his toy cars. And as I'm talking to her, I'm like, okay, well, can you turn him playing with his toy cars into a lesson? And in my mind, I'm going 1,000 ways. Maybe we can talk about speed in the lesson. Maybe we can talk about different types of cars going into history, or how the car is made, parts of the car. And that turns into a whole learning experience when it comes to homeschooling. Now, I'm using that example of her child wanting to play with cars with homeschooling, but I really hope that you get my gist, what I'm saying when it comes to making sure that the curriculum actually caters to their learning style. And trust me, there are hundreds of them out there. Number 3, you have to have a budget when it comes to a homeschool curriculum. I have seen so many parents like, I need a tutor or access to a teacher for my child. I need self-paced learning for them. I need things that are hands-on, but I need it for free. If that's the case, you might as well just keep them in school. Let me just be honest. It doesn't work like that. When it comes to homeschooling, no matter your budget, I'm not saying that you have to spend thousands into a homeschool curriculum, because you truly don't. You really don't. There are some free options. There are low-cost options, less than $50, $100 a month. There are some in the middle, like $500 a month, and then there are some that are thousands of dollars for the year. However, you need to set a realistic budget when it comes to homeschooling your child and make sure it is supporting their needs. At the end of the day, we are investing in our children. We are investing in their education, investing in their future as well. And that is something that needs to be taken seriously. Again, the amount, it will vary, but make sure that your budget matches your expectations. A lot of parents, I'm telling you, they come with this idea like homeschooling has to be expensive, or I need to do it for free, or if it's low cost, it's not going to work for me. And that is not the case. In today's time, with AI, all the options that we have available, even the evolution around homeschooling curriculums, there are literally hundreds of curriculum options, and they are growing by the day. International, worldwide, it doesn't matter. There are so many options out there. And so you want to look at your budget and say, okay, this is how much I can invest into my child's education to make sure that I'm supporting my child and they are getting the education that they need when it comes to their curriculum, not trying to find the cheapest. And now you're frustrated because it doesn't meet your expectations, or you think that you have to you think you have to drop over $1,000 for a curriculum because the most expensive is the best. That is not the case at all. That is definitely not the case. So definitely sit down and create a budget. Just to give you an idea, for me, homeschooling my two children, I spend roughly about $140, $150 a month, but that is because of my expectations and the multiple curriculums that I use. This goes into a sidebar, so we can say like 3.1 or something. When it comes to homeschooling, you can utilize multiple curriculums. There may not be just one curriculum that provides everything that you need, and that is totally fine. That is what I do personally because it fits my needs and my expectations for my children, which is why I spend $140 roughly a month for them homeschooling. A lot of parents, they want a one size fits all, or they see all in one, and they think that is going to be a complete curriculum. I am going to tell you in this video that is not the case. Every curriculum have gaps. They are not going to provide everything that you need. So you may need a curriculum maybe for the main core subjects, and then you may use another curriculum for specific things like history or maybe more advanced things for your child, depending on the situation. Or you may need to supplement it with actual supplemental books or supplemental curriculums to make sure that your child is actually retaining the information. They're just not clicking or just doing, but they're truly learning. So again, this is sidebar 3.1. There is no, in my opinion, there is no one curriculum that is going to solve everything. You will have to supplement, whether it's supplementing with another curriculum or creating supplemental lessons or things on your own. Okay, this still ties into the budget because again, it helps you plan based on your expectations. So if you know that, hey, yes, I want my child to understand the core subjects, but maybe I want my child to learn budgeting and financing, just know that you will have to invest in a separate financing or budget type curriculum so that they are getting the information and the information and the education that you desire for your child. Just want to throw that out there before I forget. All right, so now we're going from 3 to number 4. Know your involvement level when it comes to your child's homeschool curriculum or selecting the homeschool curriculum. A lot of people have this idea that homeschooling is where the parent is the primary teacher and all that jazz. And sometimes that's the case, but again, that's not always the situation. There are parents that outsource things, whether they're outsourcing with an educator, with a tutor, maybe you're utilizing an online course where they cover everything, or maybe you're mixing the two depending on your child's situation and what they need. So there's 3 levels for your involvement. You have high involvement, medium or moderate, and low involvement. And we'll go through each one together. So high involvement is where you are the primary educator. You are maybe creating lessons if you are that creative type, or you are the one that is creating the curriculum, or if you're buying a curriculum, you're the one facilitating all of the education. You are taking the time teaching the concepts, even if you're following it through, let's say, a curriculum, maybe it's open and go, or like a bookwork type curriculum. You are the one facilitating everything, coming up, planning the lessons, and planning everything out, and that is your thing. Also, maybe you are homeschooling a young child who needs your involvement. So your involvement level have to be high because you're teaching a young child who actually needs you to be involved in the process. If that is the case, then you would look for a curriculum that allows you to be involved, immersed in the curriculum, and the lesson planning and all the good stuff. Now you have moderate. Obviously, this is the middle between the two. A good example is maybe you have a curriculum. However, let's say you have a child with learning specialties. I don't like to say disabilities because I feel when people say disability, they kind of handicap their children. And I get that children learn, like there are certain children that learn differently. They have situations where they are different, but to me, it's a specialty. So for the sake of this video, just to let you know, I call it learning specialties. So let's say you have a child with learning specialties and maybe they need to see a specialist once or twice a week. However, on their off times of not seeing a specialist, you are the one that is facilitating whatever the specialist told you to do, any lesson plans and so on. That is moderate because that is more collaborative. Or maybe you are the type of parents that you have them do maybe an online curriculum, but then outside of the online curriculum, you're including a lot of life lessons to make sure that they're actually understanding the things that they're learning. So that's considered more moderate. And then you have low involvement. Low involvement are parents that let the curriculum do everything. Now, before I talk about low involvement, I want to throw something out there. when it comes to curriculum that, or parents that are low involvement, it doesn't mean no involvement, okay? It does not mean no involvement. It means low involvement, okay? Not none. I have to throw this out there because there are parents that think they have type of this school mindset where you go to school, the teachers teach everything, and then you come home and maybe we'll ask you about school. They kind of do that same thing with homeschooling. They're like, you'll do your online learning, and then after that, I'll ask you how it went or something like that. And that is not the case. So low involvement is really for children that are independent, that are actually able to do lessons on their own, but you are still monitoring it, okay? You are still making sure that they are doing the lessons, that they understand it, not skipping it, not ChatGPTing the answers or Googling it or anything like that, because it is very easy for children who have parents that are not involved or barely involved in their curriculum to cheat the system. Like they'll get the answers wrong until they find the right one and then just choose the right answers. And we're not doing that. So throwing that out there. But if you are low involvement because maybe you work and you don't have the time that you would like when it comes to helping your child with your curriculum, then that's what you want to look for with the curriculum. And then last but not least, number 5 is know your expectations. Understand your expectations when it comes to your child's education, their curriculum with homeschooling, okay? If you don't have any expectations, this is the time to set it. We should definitely be homeschooling with some expectations, okay? I say that because everybody homeschools differently. That is just bottom line. That is what it is. And so everybody have different expectations when it comes to homeschooling. Some parents are prepping their child for college. So the expectation is for them to be taking college courses early, or maybe utilizing a curriculum that allows dual enrollment, or utilizing an accredited curriculum because it makes them feel comfortable when it comes to prepping them for college. Not saying accredited is needed for college. I'm just giving it as an example. There are some parents that they just want to make sure that their child is catching up. They're on par grade levels, and that's their expectation for their child to, at the very least, be on grade level when it comes to their education. There are parents like myself where my bar is high for my children. I require them to work with excellence, not perfection. And so we're not doing basic stuff. If I feel like the learning is too easy or is bare minimum, I want to challenge them so they can get better. And so it is important to make sure that the curriculum that you are utilizing fits your expectations. Again, there are hundreds out there and they all have their pros and cons, things about them that makes them different. And so to get you out of this cycle of what's the best curriculum, or every year I have to look for a new curriculum, or I tried this one, that didn't work, now I'm trying another one, now I'm frustrated, or you're thinking my child doesn't want to learn, so I have to find a new curriculum. No, slow down and ask yourself and go through all of these 5 things to help you really solidify the best curriculum for your child. Most people aren't telling you this because they're really going with the narrative of the most popular, or they've been through this cycle as well. And my goal is to save you money, save you time, save you frustration, and save your child on this homeschooling journey. And I told you at the end of this video, I do have a surprise for you. So if you are struggling with finding a homeschool curriculum, I have created the Curriculum Clarity Combo. It is exactly what it sounds like. It asks you a few questions, match you with the top 3 curriculums that'll best suit you. In addition to that, I've done research over 100 curriculum options so that you can compare them on a chart and go through all of what's available, or help you if you're trying to compare between the top 3 choices that was given to you. So again, it is called the Curriculum Clarity Combo. It will be linked in the bio for you to go ahead and click it and get it. And I guarantee you, it will save you so much time and money. Most parents spend at most 30 minutes, if that, finding the best curriculum. And now they're starting homeschooling and no longer stressed about it. And listen, if you like this video, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.